Hi, this is Billie Beene here with another segment of Truth by Billie Beene. Today's date, October 9, 2024, time in Texas, about 11 a.m. And some breaking news, intel from Hal Turner. Benjamin Netanyahu is on the phone with JB just a few minutes ago to select the targets inside Iran Israel will hit. Iran has said if Israel hits Iran, Iran will respond within 15 minutes to Israel, and the response will be very severe. Now we'll cover what's going on in the U.S. and Florida. This is actually a flash update for me. So in space weather overnight, we had a G1, a G3, and producing auroras down to Arizona and Texas. And we had last night another X-flare 1.8, and it's going to produce another G3, so it's likely we'll have auroras tonight. Now, Ben Davidson with Suspicious Observers put forth that the sun does impact and increase the size and intensity of hurricanes. I would agree with that. The sun can produce coronal mass ejections, radiation to the earth that does impact and increase the intensity of hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanoes. And when the 1.8 was released last night, or late yesterday, it produced radiation explosions on the earth that lasted for 4 hours. I agree with Ben. The sun does impact and increase the intensity and size of hurricanes. However, I believe what we're seeing with Milton is was a natural disturbance in the Gulf of Mexico that was then juiced up by weather warfare and juiced up even more by impacts from the sun. So that's going on. And BPEARTHWATCH and MITCH had documented flashes yesterday impacting Milton, and it was decreasing in intensity. The flashes came, then it began to increase. So I agree, it's multifaceted. A natural occurrence juiced up by weather warfare and the sun. I have a Patriot subscriber. Something is draining car batteries in Florida. And we put out a report about something impacting cars in Florida yesterday. It's believed Milton is being juiced up and maintained by the use of weather warfare crossing the Gulf of Mexico. So it appears that frequency generator is also impacting cars and vehicles in Florida. I have a Patriot subscriber. I am mad and sickened by this weather warfare. HARP. I have a Patriot subscriber. I'm asking God to calm the storm in the name of Jesus. Absolutely. And now we have this from USA Today talking about the people in Florida are still traumatized from Helene that flooded many areas. So this is a report from one individual, Bill Brotherton, walking around with his parrot Mickey on his shoulder. He looked to be in his 40s, maybe early 50s. Had parked his car at Tampa Airport today and is getting a ride over to the local high school to shelter in place. This is in Tampa. And Helene put 4 feet of water in his home. He feels overwhelmed. He can't sleep or think. And that's true of millions of Floridians who have been traumatized by their experience from Helene. And now they're locating, experiencing a second catastrophic hurricane, Milton. Oh, I want to pass along this prepper tip. I saw it on Facebook. If you can't take a lot of things with you that are valuable to you, such as pictures, important papers, or whatever, a good place to store them is inside your dishwasher, and then, fasten the door, because it has a watertight seal around it. I had never thought of that. So Milton, according to the National Hurricane Center, their actually 11 a.m. update this morning at 11 a.m. Winds 145 miles per hour, a Cat 4, barometric 931, picking up speed, moving forward at 17 miles per hour. And we saw that Helene also pick up speed as it came into Florida and then went up into Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia, and West Virginia. So we're seeing Milton pick up speed. And we have this. WERX, was documenting yesterday weaponizing, and he also brought out, and I put out in previous videos, that we saw the weather modification group from the French military and the German military actively over several areas like storms coming off of Africa. But before Milton, we saw German military weather modification down around Yucatan. And BPEARTHWATCH had documented he could see, they were trying to get something going. They finally got it going. In my 2-year observation of the deep state using weather modification, that appeared to be the pattern to me, that the deep state weather modification cannot create a storm. But if a storm naturally occurs, then they can juice it up. So WERX was also documenting in this area of the U.S. Yesterday, actually Monkey did his, he normally comes out on Tuesdays, but he was doing it Monday night because he had doctor appointments Tuesday. But he was documenting Monday night that the NEXRAD radar installations in the U.S. used for defense of the U.S., but also can be used for weather modification. So the NEXRAD system in this area of the U.S. was going hot. And so that's going on. So we see independent scientific documentation of things that are being done to juice up Milton. And now we'll talk about, it's believed Milton is currently a Cat 4. It's believed it may increase in intensity just before it goes into Florida. Hurricane Track documented this part of the coastline has much higher water temperatures. So it's believed Milton will increase in size and also spread out and will produce hurricane strength winds across much of Florida. Florida will experience storm surge on its west side. The storm then crosses Florida into the Atlantic and will produce Storm surge on the east side of Florida, as well as Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina coastlines. So that's going on. Yeah, the U.S. NEXRAD was firing. German weather modification had bombarded. They also impacted Beryl and Helene. And so that's going on. And we saw that. And now the storm surge, I'll go over this with you. So the storm surge is being predicted in Florida. St. Johns River, up in the north part of Florida, will experience 2 to 4 feet. And then adjacent to it, 4 to 7. And then just before Tampa, 8 to 12. Between Tampa and Charlotte Harbor, 10 to 15 feet. And then past Charlotte Harbor, going down to the tip of Florida, will be 8 to 12, then 5 to 8, 3 to 5. So we see catastrophic storm surge to impact the west side of Florida, go across Florida into the Atlantic, and then produce storm surge on the east side of Florida. Now, I found this interesting. I've been putting out a lot of information about FEMA in North Carolina, and I'll link for you a video from JWTV interviewing sheriffs in North Carolina on the ground. The interview was done by Sarah Taylor, but JW has it on his video. I'll link that for you. And the sheriffs in North Carolina are standing up to FEMA. And one of the sheriffs said, "We mountain people, we can take care of our own. We don't need FEMA." And it's coming out that, as I had said before, it is the states who are in charge of disasters. And this is under the legal document, the Constitution, 10th Amendment. States are in charge of disasters. If the state wants federal aid, the state can request it. So this BS about FEMA taking charge of state disaster areas is not constitutionally legal. So I say to constitutional governors and sheriffs, stand up. You have the legal authority to do so. Now, in an interview on Minute to Midnight, I'll link that for you, with Leo Hoffman. Leo says he's hearing FEMA is hiring private security companies, and all those millions of people who evacuated from Florida for Helene and Milton. FEMA will use the private security groups to block the freeways and will not let the Floridians return to their homes. I see Milton, Helene, and especially Milton also being a land grab by the deep state. Watch out for FEMA to try and come in and condemn all of Florida to seize the land. So that's going on. And now we have this. Into thin air. He put out that there was a Helene in 1958 that was supposed to come into South Carolina, North Carolina, and that President Eisenhower paid off. a group that predated FEMA, but it was a federal disaster group. And then, and this is historically correct, I looked it up, the storm suddenly turned away from the coastline. So we see the deep state has been using weather modification for a long time. Now, I have a Patriot subscriber who lives like middle of the peninsula of Florida, who put on Facebook last night, "This will be my last post. If you don't hear from me again, I'll see you on the other side. Much love." And so I say to my family and friends, remain steady, continue to pray. God is in charge, and He is on the move. I love you, and I'll see you soon.